Don't you find in this day and age that doubt gets a very bad rap? Think about it. People always say, don't doubt yourself, believe in yourself. Or any of those doubts that you have, they're not going to help you, get rid of them. But I'm here to share with you that depending on how you use doubt can be a big differentiator between you being super successful, really successful in something versus failing hard. Now, what is this differentiator? How can we know the difference and actually use the difference to succeed really hard instead of failing really hard? Well, it's very simple. Actually, let me explain it like this, because many years back when I was in secondary school, around 14 years old, something crazy happened, right? Something crazy that I didn't even expect, didn't even believe could happen, but it happened and it scared the crap out of me. What happened? I was in year 8. One of the nights I'm watching some performance show, some like, what's it called? Darren Brown. Have you heard of someone called Darren Brown? If you have, let me know in the comments. Darren Brown, he's like a magician, a mentalist, someone who does things on stage and claims that he can read your mind, but he's just doing certain mentalist tricks to find out what you're thinking. He can speak to your relatives who have passed away and say what they're saying from the spirit world, even though he's not actually doing that, and he very visibly says, I'm not actually doing that. This is just some tricks that I've learned and it seems like I'm doing that, but I'm not doing that. He can do lots of magic tricks and he can also hypnotize people. However, the only difference between his other tricks, or most of his other tricks, and the hypnosis was he would say that the hypnosis was real. That when I'm doing these things, these are not actors, these are not people who are paid. I'm legitimately hypnotizing these people. But me being in year 8, a 14-year-old kid, looking at this, seeing him shake somebody's hand, tell them to sleep, then them sleeping and going to hypnosis, and he could tell them that you've forgotten your name, or that you're going to act like a monkey, or that you have forgotten the number 6, or that you can't see your hand, or some craziness like that. And they would believe it and act it out. When I was watching this, I didn't believe for a second that this was real. I was watching this thinking, yeah, he's saying that, but that's not real. But then in the back of my mind, I was like, but he's saying all this other stuff is not legit, not real, but he's just doing this psychological stuff that makes it seem real, but he's claiming that the hypnosis is real. So this triggered something in me. That same night, I remember looking online, like, is hypnosis real? Like, what is hypnosis? And all this sort of stuff. And people were saying online that hypnosis was real, but still didn't believe it. Still doubted this thing as to whether that was real or not. Then, obviously, I'm a kid, so it came to my bedtime. So because it was my bedtime, I had to stop researching. Parents said, go to bed, Josh. I went to bed, but the next morning before school, I remember this. I found some random video of this woman sharing how to hypnotize people. And don't worry, this is going to explain how you can use the doubt to your advantage. So I watched this video, and the woman was saying, hey, the video was like 8 minutes, and she was saying in like a few minutes I can hypnotize someone. It's like my party trick that I do at parties. So I watched this video, and then when I was watching it, I watched like 4 minutes, and she showed her process. It was a very quick process, like you stare here, you say this, say this, say this. By this point, they're hypnotized. But when I watched it, I was like, that's simple. Well, I didn't even believe that it was possible before. Now seeing how that's simple, anybody can do this apparently. Yeah, some BS YouTube clickbait thumbnail. So anyway, I didn't finish the end of the video. Why? Because I was at school. I had obligations, okay? I had responsibilities and I had to be at school on time. So shout out to all the good kids out there. And when I was being a good kid and going to school early, I didn't finish the video because I'm like, if I watch this video, I'm gonna be late. So I shut the video off early. I shouldn't have done that. I'm gonna tell you why I shouldn't have done that in a moment. So basically, I shut the video off early to go to school. I get to school though. When I get to school, in one of the break times, I asked one of my friends to try something with me. But bear in mind at this point, I still didn't believe that hypnosis or any of this crap was real. So I said to him, do you mind if I just try this hypnosis thing? I don't think it works, but I just want to try it. This guy keeps doing it online. He says that it works, but I just want to see if it works. Then he said, yeah, sure, Josh, you can do that. So we're in the middle of the playground now. When we're in the middle of the playground, bear in mind, this is funny, this is like a funny scene. If I could go back and watch this scene, I'll be laughing, man. In the time, I was not laughing with what happened, but I will be laughing now. Why? Because one side is like my friends playing basketball, another side is like friends playing football, another side is just friends just chilling. Then it's just me and my other friend just together by ourselves in the middle of this playground. What I do now, I do this process. I do this process that I saw in this video where it's like stare at this point on my head. I repeated these exact sentences, these exact phrases, and then said, in a moment you will sleep, or something like that. I kid you not. The first time that I tried this, what happens? When I said sleep, actually no, sorry. Before I even said the word sleep, this person who I was doing, imagine my friend. He's looking at me. I can see his eyes getting tighter and tighter and tighter. Then all of a sudden, boom, his eyes close and he starts falling forward. I'm in front of him, so when he's falling forward, I'm like, I catch him. But when I catch him, I think that he's taking the piss, because I'm like, I didn't even say sleep. I just did this for the first time. I don't believe this works. He's just taking the piss just to say, yeah, but you hypnotized me, Josh. But I kid you not, when he falls, I grab him, I hold him. You know when someone passes out? I don't know if you experienced this, but when someone passes out, they're not trying to support their body. Like right now, I'm supporting my body, I'm holding my body up. But when you pass out, all of that weight, everything is falling. So when I grab him, bear in mind I'm like 14, so I'm not really the strongest at this time. Like I did boxing as a kid, but that was for speed, not for strength. So I catch him and I realize, whoa, this guy's actually heavy, even though he's smaller than me. I catch him and then I push him up, like just push him, because I think that he's just messing about. So as I push him, his body goes like this and then starts to fall again. I catch him again, but I said to him, his name, I won't say his name just in case, data security, all that sort of stuff. But let's imagine his name's Jimmy. I say, Jimmy, stop messing about, like just come on, man. And I push him again. No response. And as I push him, bear in mind, I'm not pushing him hard, because in the back of my mind, I'm like, if he's actually falling, then I'm not going to push him off. So I pushed him a bit just to get up. So he's falling. I pushed him a second time. I say, come on, man. He comes up to here. His eyes are still closed. I just opened my eyes because I felt like I was falling. But his eyes were closed. And he gets back to here and he starts falling again. So now I catch him for the last time. When I've caught him, I realize that he's not messing about. Like he's actually hypnotized. So when I catch him and I realize this, now I'm like, shit, what do I do now? Because I didn't finish the end of that video. This is why I said earlier, I shouldn't have stopped that video, because I grab him and I realize he's hypnotized, but I was like, how do you wake someone up from hypnosis? Like how, if there's any of you guys who know hypnosis, probably like, what the F are you doing, Josh? Why do you do this? I was a kid, man. I didn't believe this stuff was real. Allow me, okay? So I grab him and I'm thinking, what the heck? How do I get someone out from hypnosis? And I was like, oh man, I didn't even watch the video. Bear in mind, this is all going through my head in like half a second, because I'm freaking out now. Back in my mind, I'm also thinking, is this guy dead? Like what's happened? So I'm holding him. Then I remember back to the thing that I watched the previous night with Darren Brown, and seeing him, when he would hypnotize someone, he would say sleep. When you want them to come back, he'd say, okay, on the count of three, when I count to three, you're going to open your eyes and come back wide awake. So that came back to my head. I was like, the woman didn't say that. What if it's something different? But I was like, I ain't got nothing else to do. So I grab him, I'm holding him, and I say, okay, on the count of three, Jimmy, when I count to three, you'll wake up. I don't even know if I said it like that. I'm pretty sure I didn't say it in the right words. But I said to him, 1, my heart's pounding. 2, my heart's pounding even more. 3, wake up. And as I do that, all of a sudden I'm holding him. His weight goes from like this to starts to pick himself up. He opens his eyes, he looks at me, and I say like, what happened? He said, huh? What do you mean? He said, and I said, I hypnotized you, right? He said, no, you didn't. Then he just walks off. He walks off, not a care in the world. In that moment, well, many things were happening. First of all, I was scared, because I was like, what if he goes back into hypnosis and nobody knows? Because we was going to go to our next lesson. It was like a 15-minute break. We had our next lesson. When I'm in my next lesson, I'm freaking out. Like, what if he gets hypnotized again? He passes out. He can't wake up. People think that he's like dead or something. Like, what if I kill the guy? Like, all these crazy thoughts were going through my mind. I was so scared. So then, what happens is, at lunchtime, I see him, he's okay, he's in lunch. when the lunch bell rang, he was the first person that I was looking for in that playground. I was like, where is this guy? Eventually I find him, see he's okay, and my heart settles. But from that point, I remember I told my friends, and they were like, no, Josh, you didn't do that. They had the same reaction as me when I heard about hypnosis. That's not real. So then they were like, hypnotize us. But prior to that, I had vowed never to hypnotize anybody again. Why? Because, man, I was scared. I told myself, I gave myself like a mini heart attack. Like, no exaggeration. After he did that, when I was in that next class, all these scenarios were going in my mind. Like, what if this happened? What if he died? What if this? What if I go to prison? Man, as a kid, sometimes we think about craziness, no? But as an adult still, you still think about these things, like not exactly going to prison, all that sort of stuff, but you're still thinking about things like overthinking sometimes. So this happens. And then now, when it gets to my friends, I tell my friends about this and they're like, Josh, just do it. So I vow to myself, I'm never going to hypnotize somebody again to close their eyes. If I hypnotize someone, I'll keep their eyes open and I'll do the stuff. So make their hands stick together, make their feet stick to the ground, all this sort of stuff. So I did to my friends, and actually one friend I did it to, next friend I did it to, next friend I did it to. I think one friend it didn't work on, but then the next friend I did it to, it worked on. Worked on all of them except for that one who, actually I don't think he wanted to be hypnotized. So what that showed me, the reason why I say that doubt can make you super successful in something or make you fail hard is because of this. After that moment, because I was still so scared, even though I saw I could hypnotize people with their eyes open and do all this stuff, and it actually worked, which I didn't believe at first, because of all that whole experience with that, my friend Jimmy, let's say, because of that experience, I never wanted to hypnotize anyone again. I never wanted to dive into it. Even though I was really passionate about doing magic tricks, doing this sort of stuff, I never did it again. I still did magic tricks, but never hypnotized. Why? Because the doubt in my ability, the fear that was stimulated, the doubt as to whether what happens if something happens, what if I don't know how to do this, what if that happens again but he doesn't wake up, all this doubt. For many years, I never touched hypnosis again, until fairly recently. Point being is, doubt can be your friend or doubt can be your foe. Why? Think about it. At the beginning of this whole situation, when I was in year 8 watching these videos with Darren Brown, this series, I doubted, did not believe. Like, hands down, if you asked me if hypnosis was real, I would have said no, laughed in your face and said that he's just acting as part of this, or these people are acting. But that doubt, because I had one thing, I had an open-minded curiosity to test it. Notice, I didn't just shut it off. Think about this in your life. I didn't just shut it off and be like, hey, this stuff doesn't work, it's BS, and then just go on telling everybody, yeah, hypnosis isn't real, BS doesn't work, it's all actors. No, I took the time out to be open-minded, a bit like a child, like a curious child, and just be like, hey, I don't believe this works, but let me see how this works. Let me see what people are talking about. Let me see how people are doing this. I tested it. The reason why it can make things really successful is because, notice, sometimes when you want something so much in life, there's like this importance. There's this feeling of like clinging on and really wanting it to happen. But have you noticed, like when you cling on to these things or really want it to happen, oftentimes it doesn't happen. Why? Because there's too much importance. This is why they say, with attracting a specific person or attracting even money or just manifesting things, they recommend what? They recommend that you detach, you let go. This is one of the reasons why. Most people don't explain it the exact reason why, but this is one of the reasons why detaching, letting go actually does play a part when it comes to manifesting. But when you have this doubt and it's just like a curious, like, I don't believe this works, but let me just see how it works. Or I don't believe this works, but let me just test this. Now there's no attachment. It's not like I'm really wanting this to work. Please, please, please let this work. And it's funny because many years later when I got into hypnosis again, because I knew that it could work and I wanted it to work this time, actually it was tougher for me to hypnotize people at the beginning because I had all this attachment, all this expectation, trying to perfect the sentences, trying to perfect the words, trying to make it all perfect, my script. Bear in mind, in year 8, I just walked onto a playground, had no expectation, didn't even think it was going to work, but just wanted to test it on a friend. Now, no expectation, no detachment, just had the doubt, but I used that doubt in an open-minded, curious manner that caused me to test it and actually get the benefits of doing that thing without all that expectation, without all those extra importance levels, right? So, the other way though, the reason why doubt in your life, and think about it, what are some things that you genuinely doubt? Are they things that maybe you could test to see, is it actually like that? Is there a different way? Or are these things that are limiting you? Because the second type of doubt that I experienced with that whole hypnosis thing was then doubt in myself, doubt in this whole process, doubt in whether I'll be able to handle it. And I just shut it off. Why? Because I had this fear. I had this closed-mindedness to it, not wanting to tap back into something that was actually very special, very unique. I know I give the example of, making people sleep, close their eyes, stick their fingers together, but you can genuinely use this stuff, which is what I tend to use this stuff now for, is more towards hypnotizing yourself for subconscious. Hypnotizing subconscious to either release money blockages, all these different things, release certain limitations, right? I don't tap into it. I don't offer hypnosis or anything like that. I'm not saying that because of that, but I'm just curious in this. It always sparks something in me. But I didn't touch it for many years. And the interesting thing is, so I was year 8, when I was in 6th form, which is like college, so before university at UK, so 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 4 years later, I went to the same 6th form or college, whatever you call it, as that kid, that Jimmy kid. He went to the same 6th form, same college as me. In one of the break times, we were playing table football, me, him, and some other guys, playing table football. And then he said to me, "Oh, Josh, do you remember that time when you hypnotized me?" Man, I looked at him. This is 4 years later. Bear in mind, I've never spoken to him about this again. Why? Because I had this fear, this thing like, what if I mess something up in him? What if something happens to him? All this craziness. 4 years later, first time we ever spoke about it again. He said, "Josh, do you remember that time that you hypnotized me?" I said, "What? You remember that?" He was like, yeah. Basically, I remember actually when you did it, I blacked out a bit. But then when I got home, I remembered. And this is a common thing that happens in hypnosis, that people just get amnesia. Not everybody, but sometimes. And he said, "When I got home, I remembered." I was like, "What? But how come you didn't tell me?" He was like, "Yeah, it just never really came up." I was like, "What?" 4 years I went thinking that this thing potentially did something to someone because I got him to close his eyes in hypnosis. 4 years later, I realized, whoa, it not only did it work, well, I knew it worked because I saw him, but he even remembered that it worked, and he verified. It wasn't just me in my head anymore, but he verified. And then that was the thing that opened it up to me. The more, okay, let me tap into this a bit more. The curiosity. So this is why anything that you have doubt in life, whether it's doubt in yourself, whether it's doubt in your company, whether it's doubt in what you're doing in life, whether it's doubt in relationship, whether it's doubt in finding a specific person, whether it's doubt in whatever it is, doubt you can use as your ally. You use it with that curiosity, with that open-mindedness, with treating it like a science experiment to see something new. It can lead to very quick results because that expectation, that importance, that non-serving energy is not there, limiting you. However, if you use it in a way where you just let that doubt finish you, you let that doubt be like, hey, closes you off, closed-minded, can't do this, that's it, move on. You can go years, even decades, not fulfilling something, not diving deep into something that you could have done very quickly if you used it in the manner that I mentioned earlier. So this is why doubt can be your friend. Utilize it in that childlike science experiment, curious manner, open-minded manner, and it can make you have real quick results. Use it in the other way, it can be your ultimate way to fail quick, fail hard. So I hope this video helps. If you've got any questions about this, about any things, and by the way, I might do a video actually soon to do with the detachment thing and the limitations, because I've seen a lot of people online aren't really explaining it in the way which makes it easy to detach and which makes you realize why these expectations really don't help your manifestations. So me talking about this now is stimulating this idea. So maybe in a video, in the next video, one of the next videos, I'll mention something to do with that because it makes a big difference. But for now, if you got any value from this video, make sure to hit the like button. If you're new to this channel, hit the subscribe button. If you're not new to the channel, welcome back. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Any comments, let me know. But for now, see you in the next one.